This conference will now be recorded.
So since nobody is here from audit and finance.
Yeah.
We'll skip the chairman's remarks. We can't approve the minutes, but does anybody have any questions on them? No questions.
Someone's here. Yeah, maybe.
We're still paying our bills and we still have money coming in, so.
We pay normal operating expenses. So
Yeah.
if there's anything on there that's out of the ordinary, then we'll hold off on it.
Here comes something.
Hey, Andrew.
Hello.
Morning.
Andrew can help you.
There's not much to do.
We're still having.
Technically, you're the only member of audit and finance that's here.
Oh, nice.
I think you're the chairperson.
I know that you're.
We've already skipped we've skipped the payment of the bills unless anyone has questions on any of those.
Right, we can, so.
And we're at review of financials.
The budget committee meets next Tuesday, so I don't know if we're gonna actually see the budget yet for the county, but I'm assuming we'll see that pretty soon here. Because you entered the request, right? We talked about that before. You never heard anything back?
What, let's quickly discuss the budget and,
Which budget are we talking about? The county budget or our?
Talking about our budget, right?
budget request.
As it relates to the county.
budget.
Yeah.
So I met a week and a half ago, last Friday, not last Friday, the Friday before, with the county administrator, Steve Wilson. And he realized that he made a little mistake on our request. But he didn't point out that he would support an increase in our budget. He realizes that we're sort of a special case, that we've been underfunded for all these years. So we requested our annual appropriation of $75,000 and another $325,000 in improvements and enhancements.
Right, we're calling them like, he calls them like project enhancements or something like that. That's the enhancements. That's the terminology for an increase.
So he also indicated that starting in January, they're going to start on a capital budget. Because
Right.
He said a lot of our monies are going into capital projects. And he said there's no reason not to request funds from the county under capital project.
Right.
So that was positive. Now, whether the board would agree with that, I don't know.
It's a beginning
Yeah, no,
of a concept, you know.
Yeah.
Changing the thought process.
He thought that the board has been very supportive of what we're doing. They really like what projects that we're working on. And he said there's a lot of sentiment to give us an increase.
Yeah, I would agree. I especially, since it's, the county's in pretty, in a sound financial position right now. So, an increase for 2024 seems, if we were like when COVID hit and we had to cut 50 positions, that's, that obviously very different circumstances. So
where do you think we are on that $325,000?
I think, I don't know what it always comes down to the project enhancements.
We're gonna get some of it, we may not get all.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's absolutely, think an increase seems that it should absolutely happen. But how's it weigh out, when, because that's, I mean, Steve, it's a much more formalized budget process. And they're doing a lot more analysis than we've ever seen before. And, and I think in presenting options in a way that the county and legislature's never had. Before, the typical budget process would be, our departments kind of, status quo and padding or, whatever. And, I think the whole idea here is to, okay, what's your status quo? And then you want more money, what that he's calling them project enhancements. He wants to kind of present those all kind of in the same pot or whatever, so the county board picks and chooses.
He's doing a deeper dive into each department.
Oh, the stuff he's looking at is
Great.
And trends and analysis, and so he's putting out some good information. And we have some ongoing problematic areas that honestly I'm not sure there's a solution, but anyway.
Yeah, great.
But what the original mistake request, what was that, Jody? The original mistake request.
Yeah, what,
How much was it?
or something? 400 and, I think the original request was 449.
Okay.
What he based that on was the 275, and he gave us a range that we can.
We would say 449.
Right. Well, and so now it's 75 plus another 325. Yeah.
So the other thing is if you go through my numbers, year to date, we have a surplus right now of $272,000. So,
That's 3.5 months to go in the fiscal year.
and we haven't vouchered the,
CRC.
The what?
When we voucher the CRC from the IDA for the bond fees.
Right.
But we haven't received all the bond fees, so that's why we haven't done.
and hopefully if the hotel project goes through, that'll bring us another 205,000.
And that's the part with the index.
Yes.
Is that still
They're hoping to close in October, they told us.
okay? Yeah, because they haven't done any more work on it. Obviously, they're waiting for the closing. I'm
They're
assuming.
waiting for approval from the Small Business Administration on the loan guarantee.
Because they're set with the town.
I'm sorry?
They're set with the town.
Yep.
Any of the local issues are taken care of.
Great. We didn't hear anything more about Cooper Sound Fun Park, right? After his presentation.
We should go into an executive session.
Okay, got it.
We can't hold an executive session.
You can't.
Well, when we,
They did submit a revised
Well, my
application.
question becomes if there's information that will be discussed there, is this being recorded?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
We want to be,
I will say that they did submit a revised application. The original application they used was the old one. And there's a question on there. There's a missing question on there that the state controller is requiring. It's on our new one. And that basically says, but without financial assistance from the IDA, would this project move ahead?
right.
Got it. So they answered that question correctly on the new application. And I sent the revised applications to Hoskins and Russ.
Okay.
for their review.
But that's, I mean, there's no way that's gonna have any impact on our budget in terms of, that's not gonna be approved or move forward this year.
No. The other big change right now is that Megan is working on the 2024 budget, not me. She's made it substantially easier to read. She's double checking everything that I've done in the past and finding that, why did you do this? Where did you come up with this number? And as part of that, she had not included that project in the budget.
Okay.
For 2024, yeah.
It's easier to assume it won't happen than to assume it does and then have to take it out later.
Right.
Are you gonna put Jody in the budget, or
Hmm?
are you putting Jody in the budget?
Yeah. He's a line item.
When are we hoping to approve that in October?
Yes.
Okay.
So any other questions on the financials?
Just, we had a presentation, remember, their gang, and it was a discussion that involved the parking garage, and, there been any follow-up from them as to whether or not we can help them in any way, or?
Not in, I'm not sure they want to be helped. I think they have a plan and they want to do their plan and,
They have a demo plan, I know that.
yeah, they're not, there's no incoming inquiries they're interested in addressing.
Okay.
No plan B or C. They're not, at this, from what I'm hearing inside the
Yeah,
city.
I agree. Yeah, they announced that the company that was awarded the bid for the Ford building is also being awarded the bid for the demo.
Wendell.
Okay. We were pretty clear that we were willing to help if we could, were we not?
Their mind had been, were made up before they got here. It's just,
The only question I had.
That's it for audit and finance. Unless you have any new or unfinished business. No, nobody.
No.
Projects.
Projects.
okay, no comments. We can't approve any meeting minutes. We can have a conversation about what we have going on. But Jody, what are you going to catch us up on?
I had a discussion with Cheryl last Thursday, a Zoom meeting, because she wasn't going to be here, and she's going to make our monthly meeting on Wednesday. And we discussed Richfield Springs. And as you notice on my report, it says it's on hold, waiting for attorney's comments to be sent to the town attorney. I got an email from Larry, one of the sticking points, which was the guarantee of 2 lots for that both lots had to be shown that they were pressure drifts tested and all this. And we know we're probably going to sell the 1 lot, but that second lot may take 10 years to sell. We just have no idea. Larry had sent me an email saying they had agreed to drop it to the 1 lot and not both lots. And after discussing with Cheryl, we decided to move ahead with the project as,
Everything else is ironed out?
yes.
Good.
Now, that August 20, was it August 28th date of signage from the contractor that was awarded the bid? Did anything go up? What, can you go back and review that with us?
Yes. We had to start construction by August 28th, right? Or the project was terminated by EDA. There was according to Brett Steinberg at EDA, they would consider that we start construction by August 28th, if we had our construction signs installed.
Right.
So did they get,
Was installed on the 25th.
okay.
And so technically we have
We
started.
tagged first base for safe so far.
What do we, obviously the contractor did that. What's the deal with the contractor at this point, as far as they still anticipate being able to start this fall?
Right now they are. I talked to Hunt Engineering on mid last week, and they were working on construction contracts. That's part of their responsibilities as construction manager.
Yep.
We explained some of the items that we wanted in there, for guarantees by the contractor and stuff like that. Our main engineer for Hunt was on vacation until last Monday, so he just started working on it last week. And I'll have him reach out with a full final draft copy to give to our attorney for him to review.
That would be Joe.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing that is that the town did sign the required documents. The town supervisor did sign the revised documents that we need to submit to EDA, but they weren't filled in. They're all blank. I just have the signatures on them. I'm going to send those to Art LaJudas and have them fill them in, as well as contact the town, because there's questions on there we can't answer. We need to know what the town's federal ID number is. And so,
They gotta go back to Dan, so.
and then the last thing is that I've got to get back to them, is that we need a final draft for both the water agreement and the wastewater agreement to send to EDA for approval. They don't want it signed until they review it, because they may have changes on it. And right now we have a draft water, but I have no draft sewer. So I'm waiting for that.
We may have to speed up to come to a complete stop at the pace we're going.
So my question is, on the construction, without those signed documents, are they gonna start construction?
I hope so, yeah.
Well, has anybody released any money to anybody? I mean, I'm a contractor, I'm not moving until I know for sure I'm gonna get my money. So,
You know, he's been pretty lenient, because he installed that sign. I said, send it to Bill, and he said, no, I'll send it when we start actual construction.
all right.
So,
And we think construction, I mean, this will actually begin before the end of the year.
it's certainly possible that it will go into the spring. But the amount of work, they could probably get it done in October.
Right, it's not that much, right?
No, it's not. It's a small entranceway. We're basically talking about water and sewer installation. It's not
Yeah.
a complicated project.
Not a huge
Right.
project.
They
It just costs a lot of money.
They've got,
Costs a lot of money.
yeah, it's in their interest
Yeah.
to get started, because they're gonna submit to Hunt. So Hunt is going to approve vouchers.
Right.
So if they mobilize and bring in all the material, they kind of they would prefer to get paid for the material. And start
I mean,
installing.
Normally in a construction climate, everybody's booked out between now and frost, so, you know, to find, they have time in their production schedule. It's amazing that they have a window open to get in here, get this done, if that's the case. Surprising.
We'll see. So Larry, do you have anything to add?
Yes. So at our last board meeting, late August, the agreement that Jody mentioned, the water agreement, we authorized our supervisor to sign those agreements once, as long as they stick to the final form. So he's got the authorization to sign those from the town. We were waiting for acceptance of the term, and that one item that Jody mentioned was another concession we made to just have the one lot trigger the warranty. We're going to shape the sewer exactly after the water, and I think the town attorney is waiting for the updated map plan and reports for the changes that were made midsummer to include those in the IMA, and then we can move right forward with creation of the tax district, which we also need those map plan and reports to publicize the public hearing for the tax special improvement districts. So I think things are moving along really good. It's been a pretty long path, you guys all know, and I appreciate everybody's help and support.
Who's responsible for those final the maps and?
I have no idea. time because we're not working with Keystone anymore. They've screwed this thing up so much, I think. I'm not sure they're gonna get it updated, man.
Well, who's taking over?
Um, Hunt has offered to finish up whatever we need to have finished up for an additional fee, and I trust them more than right now than Keystone.
Okay, so we're looking at, to fill
Well,
in.
we gotta get it done. If that's the impediment, it's gotta be taken care of, so. We gotta get that right, we're gonna get the rock out of the road, it's in the way, that's what's holding us up.
Yeah, and that's my recommendation is that we switch it. Finished. I don't want to go over all the problems that we've had.
No,
yeah.
But
And they're familiar, you know,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be the construction management.
correct, that's correct.
So this should be not a big deal.
And once again, it's not a big project, so let's get going. Or get started.
Larry, are you referring to the difference between, you know, now that it's one lot versus two? Is that what you're talking about with the change?
The size was scoped, I don't know, 2 or 3 acres smaller. I think it's under 10 acres right now. That was, I think, agreed between Jody and the DEC in order to address some of the DEC concerns. So we shortened up the footprint of the project for the time being. You know, you've got a 56 or 7 acre parcel there that you own, and we're only developing 20% of it.
Yeah, well, it was the wetlands issue that we needed to deal with.
Say that again?
It was a wetlands issue.
Yeah, I believe Jody worked through that with the DEC.
Yeah.
Um,
But that-
in our planning board meeting this past Monday, the planning board revisited the seeker and completed a revised seeker for this project. And I should have all of those documents today. So, they came up with a negative declaration. This time the DEC was properly notified, the DOT was properly notified, and neither one of those had concerns that needed to be addressed. So we're in good shape with that. But I do know in order for us to create these tax jurisdictions, it's part of the law that we have to have the map plan and reports, and they should be up to date. I don't think we can go to a public hearing with a set of map plan and reports that don't reflect the project that we're actually building. I don't think, and hopefully Hunt can just get that file from Keystone and get it updated and get it out to us quickly. Jody, is Keystone no longer on honoring their obligations under your contract?
The only thing that they were still under obligation for was to attend your town planning board meeting to do the seeker review with them. But apparently, they did that by themselves.
They did not attend, Larry, is that what you're saying?
Pardon me? They did not
They did
attend.
not.
No,
Okay.
they did not attend.
But if we need the maps from them and that's where they are, we paid them enough money, we just need to get it done.
Yeah, we just need, they did that pretty quickly the last time. So maybe I'll shoot them an email, beg them or whatever, try to get that done and get it into our attorney's hands.
They probably will respond to you better than me because my relationship with them right now hasn't been the greatest.
Okay, I'll try to do that. I'll copy you on email, Jody.
Yeah, we should also communicate with them.
All right, at the last board meeting, everybody was pushing with Apple converting. We did sign a new lease with them. They have provided us insurance, and we've got to get that to our insurance company to verify that they can take our existing building off our insurance. And I don't think we've received rent from them yet. I'll reach out to them to where's their rent.
What's the final agreement on the finance piece? 1 year, 2 year? Can't remember.
It's a 1-year lease with an option to renew up to 3 years.
Okay, thanks.
Have they moved ahead with any development of the building, upgrading, or they're waiting for the lease, or what, They were in a hurry.
They're in a hurry. They've actually started moving things around. They've met with the former tenant Bird Trucking and identified an area where they can still store stuff. They're going to do a sublease with them, allow them to keep some of their stuff until they can get it out. I think they're waiting for Bartlett Judas's report on the environmental before they do any major work in there. And the reason they are waiting for that report is that they don't want to start really cleaning the building and then be accused of that they were the responsible for
Right,
causing
yeah.
it. Um, I did have a meeting with the president of the Community Foundation of Otsego County. And they are looking at the possibility of creating a revolving loan fund. And we suggested that when they gather enough money together from individual donors, that they approach the banks and ask the banks for equal amounts, maybe $100,000 a piece, to recapitalize that revolving loan fund. And the banks will get credit under the Community Reinvestment Act for giving them monies for this. And then to have, as part of the loan review committee, members of the banks be part of that review committee.
So they're going to make the credit decisions, the banks? The committee's going to, not us. We're not, we're just doing administrative.
And then that's the one thing that he raised was Harry, whether we would administer the revolving staff with that. I said we could do that. We'd probably charge a fee for that. Maybe direct.
Well, credit decisions, approvals, and all, then they're going to, that committee can take care of it. We're purely administrative, not risk on
Purely administrative.
not a part of the idea.
That will be on the board agenda. Andrew's on the board too. Community Foundation, that's going to be in the board agenda for the October board meeting.
And then really the only other update that I have is Tammy and I met with York Modern yesterday in Unadilla.
Yeah. Good people.
They are. They're having some cash flow problems because some of their manufacturing equipment is down so much. And apparently these machines that make these rakes are basically customized. They were made for York. And actually one of the gentlemen who used to work at York, who's since retired, he was the only one who knew how to maintain them. And as such, they have so much downtime that they have a huge backorder that they aren't able to fill. I asked who owned the company, and they said there's 27 shareholders.
Wow.
So it almost makes it almost impossible to go to Empire State. They'll require that those shareholders put up at least 10% of the financing. And I can't imagine that the shareholders.
Well,
do that.
who are you speaking to?
I haven't been yet.
You haven't talked to anybody yet?
No. I suggested to them was that, and this is a complicated project in finance. I said first they should go to, and they have been in discussions with the Cooperstown Bank. And the Cooperstown Bank had outlined maybe $100,000 that they could identify to loan them. I suggested they really get an intent letter from that bank that they take one of the loans was for repairing the roof because the roof is leaking, and they should probably do that immediately and drop that out of any grant project because it's going to take at least 4 months to get approval. By that time, there's going to be
Snow.
yeah. My suggestion is that similar to what we did with Ioxis is look at taking their 15 employees and saying that they're in jeopardy unless we can resolve this equipment malfunction issue and to go to the Office of Community Renewal and request probably like $240,000 out of a $600,000 project. And similar to what we did with IOX's, the amount of materials and supplies they use in their production, it'll top probably $700,000 over the year, so that they could use part of that as a match to the small cities.
My concern would be, they haven't reinvested. York Brick, it's a trademark, it's not small. Somebody would buy it and go ahead and put them somewhere else. So it ought to happen. On the other hand, they haven't reinvested when they should to keep things working. If your roof leaks, you haven't paid attention. You haven't been a good business person, or your market share or production productivity, well, whatever. I mean, something isn't working to get them to where they are now, in my mind. And they have a product it's a national brand. So I obviously want to save it, but it's almost like they need some business counsel in how do we ramp this thing up. And so we don't end up getting money for somebody who Access is trying to make it work. I mean, we've had an ongoing conversation, and I certainly want your modern to be successful, but don't we really need a business plan to go be in all this, how they're going to make the future different than the present?
That's correct. And their CEO resigned about 3 months ago.
Oh, did he?
And so it's being run by.
He's old enough, he can retire.
Finance person,
Mhm.
the bookkeeper. And that's the real issue that I have right now. So there's nobody at the top that really is managing this firm. I think that they really can't go out and get somebody because they don't have the finances to bring that person on.
I could see where COVID was tough for them, like it was for, but the recovery's been pretty good in that area. It's just, that is such a known brand. It's hard for me to believe that I share Tom's concern. If they got themselves in a position where they have a backlog of orders
Yes.
that they can't fill because their equipment's not operational.
Right. That shows you there's a management problem.
Yeah, absolutely, because they have an income potential there.
And I knew the departed CEO, and he was probably just coasting. His wife retired from Suco 3 or 4 years ago, and probably just having a good time on their log cabin on Franklin Mountain. But,
I mean, basically, it's almost like I should go talk to Mike Pentaris and see if he would go over there and figure out how to straighten it.
Well, he might, yeah, obviously counsel, but who does manufacturing where it's not electronic? I mean, it's nuts and bolts, welding,
I know my
Cynthia.
when I first met him, he was dealing with a pharmaceutical company that
Yeah, he probably helped anybody.
so
Is this something that I want to put more into it than Andela? I mean, that's similar,
Yeah,
but she's struggling with her own.
company that has a niche in this area is this forklift company.
In Green,
Raymond.
Corp,
Raymond would be
they're pretty busy for people I talk to.
yeah, they got, that's what they do. They build machines.
They build forklifts, electrical and
Yeah,
LP.
that would be.
It's a huge 1,700 people, I think.
A consulting company would be outstanding if they would take an interest in. You're great because they really got.
So you've talked to the finance person.
yes.
Is it possible to go down and take their temperature, see what have you got? What are your assets and liabilities, and where, how on the edge is the company? What's the best approach moving forward? Who's going to run it without a leader? All the worker bees need a queen. I mean, it's it needs to be organized. It needs to be.
Well, they must have an accounting firm.
Yeah, I'm sure, must have.
Which could be helpful, I would think.
Yeah.
I told her I would email her Friday all my concerns and what I'm going to need, because the mayor was there and the town supervisor was there at the meeting. So I didn't want to raise too many. It's going on.
Yeah. Well, I think we really need to figure out, I mean, even to go to try to get money for them, if they're, on their last legs.
Well, that's going to be the key, because with that access, what the state came back and says, well, you showed that there is a need to get this money, but why are we giving this money if the company could be going out of business? Right.
Well, yeah, we need to assess it.
Sense that,
Right.
respond to that issue.
Yeah, if they're gonna be
And then
on
the
operation.
facility down there is pretty old too, so I don't know,
Yes.
they flood a few times around the river, so.
Yeah, they show you the flood level.
And once again, I want to help them, but we need to take their temperature, see what's going
So
on.
this is gonna take some time for me to figure out how to do this, but they've been in business for over 100 years.
Yeah, once again, it's a national brand. It's, York rake is, that's how you do, that's what that thing is. It's not a grading rake, it's a York rake.
Yeah, it's certainly in our interest to save those 15 jobs. You know, I mean, let me ask you another question. Is there an interest in them? Do they need a new buildings? As, selling their property and leasing somewhere else, a building that isn't, or not? Or is that going way beyond where we are at this point?
I stayed there for an hour and a half in the discussions around the small conference table, and Tammy stayed to take a tour of the building.
Yep.
I came back because in fact, I don't think we're having problems with some of our computers, including mine. But in order to get this material out to you, I came back so I could take the tour.
Yeah.
So I don't know physically what they need. Okay. But I did tell them I'd come back, maybe next week and take a tour. Okay. And you can say, well, it's only 15 jobs. The mayor made a point that that's a lot in Unionville.
It's huge, yeah.
Jody, Jim Seward here. In addition to the new roof, are they looking to replace all their equipment? And is there a price tag on that, or is that what you're going to go down and find out?
I asked them if they, right now, they were getting quotes to repair their existing equipment because it's so proprietary. It's not like you can buy another one. It has to be made for them. And I asked them if they would get quotes on brand new equipment as opposed to just repairing what is there. They don't have any quotes in writing from anybody. They have verbal discussions. And I said, we're going to actually need quotes in writing. And my suggestion would be using their materials and supplies as a match, they could probably get more money than they were originally planning on. Look at maybe buying a replacement built machine or two machines for some of the stuff. So that they have a backup in case the older one breaks again.
Okay.
I think it's one, if we have the capacity to spend some time assessing and counseling and helping with the plan. If these people have been working in the plant for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and then they go to work every day, go home, they don't understand the scope and opportunity that might be available somewhere else. We don't know what their talents are at this point. So to me, you have to inventory not only the money and the debt and potential, but also the talent and skill and leadership, what's there. And how can we help them have a successful future?
Another worry, and that's why I told my email, is that, as you pointed out, some of these people have worked there for 30 years. They not qualify as low and moderate income because they've been there so long, their salaries may be up high. And we have to have at least 51% of their employees considered low.
I would think they probably have.
So that's.
I don't think you could ever make 8. That would probably qualify.
And it's really, I'll have to have a discussion with the state on this because how the federal government decides qualifies low and moderate income is based on education. That you only need a high school education to fill this job would be considered a low and moderate income, not any specialized training or any college degree. So technically the positions themselves are low and moderate income. But these people have been working there so long that they probably are being paid above that wage rate. And if they're replaced, they won't be replaced at that wage rate. They'll be replaced at a lower wage rate. So
Well, let's wait until we know that information before we start building up.
Lots to learn.
Yeah,
I mean, putting together a community development application is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Bringing this up because we're probably gonna look at trying to do one for this. And the other thing is that Megan got her signed contract for the micro.
And we met with the committee and they picked the companies that they want to award, so we can make the IGA meeting on October 10th to get those approved by the county. And then I don't know when admin is, but I know then the board would be November 1st, so hopefully the board would approve them on November 1st, and then we can get
You had how many applications?
like 33, I want to say is a good number right around there. It was like over $1 million in requests.
Yeah,
There was a less, who's on the committee?
So we had Kyle Liner from Bank of Cooperstown, Judy Pagman from the city, also with Sarah Primel from the city. We asked Marcy Birch from Barnyard Swing. Who am I forgetting? Dan Sullivan, Ed Frazier.
Okay.
I think I have everyone. And then Tammy Harris was on
Yeah.
kind of as like a liaison. Michelle Caton came on as just to answer questions about the applications. And then me and Nessie were on there. And I hope I'm not forgetting.
it looked to me like there were a number of applications that could be easily disqualified.
There were.
I looked at some and said, I don't think they.
They made a big emphasis on like brick and mortar businesses and farms. So every farm that applied, I think all of them got approved.
If there's some income requirements, correct?
You either have to be low to moderate income yourself, or if you're not, then you have to hire at least one full-time low to moderate income individual. That's the requirement.
But the ultimate recommendations of the committee, obviously, I understand goes out of GA, but when you say board approval, the county board approval.
County board.
Yeah, not
Yes,
our.
not our, no. So that's November 1st, right?
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
November 1st, yeah. the first
So we would
Wednesday.
go to IGA and then we'd go to admin, and then by that point, we pretty much hit all the board members anyway, so that it would just be formality.
Megan's doing the administrative aspect of this.
Yeah, so then we can put
Yeah,
it
no, it
agreements and they can
takes,
start working.
takes the board, you know, I mean, it's.
certainly they should approve of their increased contribution to our budget if we're doing more than work to county. So
That's correct. And I did point out in the budget submission, one of the justifications was that we are doing the micro enterprise on their behalf. We're doing all the new pilots that were coming out, solar energy projects on behalf of the county. And so we are doing a lot more county work than we have been 5 years ago. We also signed yesterday a certificate of authenticity for Pink Soap Rocks, TS Pink Soap Rocks, to send to South Korea for their exports.
okay,
You made a note in your, I think it was in your notes on Edmondson Solar.
Yes, the company, the solar company is rejecting our analysis and our request for a pilot payment. And they claim that their model is much more accurate and it's been accepted in 10 other sites throughout the state. Our argument has been is that the model that we're using is the one that the Department of Taxation is recommending that assessors use to assess the projects. And we had NYSERDA staff review what we did, and they said what we did was correct on the model.
just negotiation. Just send them back. a letter.
They sent back an email saying, well, thanks. Well, Joe Scott, he was negotiating on behalf of the IDA, not on behalf of the county. And as the IDA does a pilot agreement, it's got to be for all taxing jurisdictions. And as such, even though the town and the school district did not respond and are not required to get any money, he was requiring that the solar company to use our model for all 3 taxing jurisdictions. And that really would have blown away a tremendous amount of money for them. And so they finally rejected that. They said that they're gonna negotiate directly with the county. I don't think that's gonna work, because the county doesn't know.
Well,
I don't think.
right, well, they'll come back to us.
What was the acreage that they were looking at? Yeah.
I think it was 60 acres, 70 acres.
Why wouldn't, if they're gonna come directly to us, we would just take take what you already presented and present it to them.
Yeah, they'll usually go back around the barn.
Do they not see how that's gonna play out?
No, I don't. My suggestion to the county would be to use our model.
Right.
Just to use their piece of it.
Right,
And
no, agree.
not get monies for the town or the school district. Joe thought politically that wouldn't work, that the school district and the town would get
Right.
upset if the county was getting money.
Yeah, and they weren't, no,
I think Joe's right.
yeah, I think he is right, yeah. Was there a middle ground? I don't know. Cause they're technically, they lost their opportunity, right? Because they didn't respond. I mean, that's part of the challenge.
It's one of the, I got asked a question by one of the town board members last night at the town of Otsego. Well, why wouldn't we adopt? Or right, the exempt ourselves from the 47. I'm like, why are we even having this discussion? You should have done this 5 years ago.
Right.
You didn't.
Right.
Well, they're unaware, and now they're aware.
And that's the big thing, is that education. It's just,
Yeah.
who's aware that this is going on.
The county just adopted it at our,
Next.
this one. September, we just did it. Oh, last Wednesday.
Yeah, those small towns.
Yeah, they can't have up
And then,
Well,
what's going on with the school district? Superintendent retired in March. And they had an unsuccessful search initially. So they just finally, they named a superintendent in June. And normally that's something that's a done deal well before that. So I don't know where they are with, who knows what's going on with that, but 60 acres is a
I think the entire site is over 100 acres.
we're talking acres of photovoltaic panels, and is multi-million dollars. The project at Corning,
Oh, it's huge, much bigger.
no, I mean,
Well,
that was almost $1 million.
Right.
And that's what, half an acre
Yeah.
maybe? And so we're talking millions of dollars. I don't
120
understand
million, whatever.
where this company's coming from, but of course it's, they're all outside companies. Coming into upstate New York.
It's the reservoir of our day and age. The Earth City needs electric. We just, instead of damming up water, we're just taking green space.
Stupid question, but when they go to the county says basically.
We use the
we work
IDA.
with the IDA is our agency that does our pilot programs. What is this company gonna say?
I think what they said was that they'll come to that issue after they build it. They're moving ahead irrespective of anything.
Whether they get a pilot or not. Well, yeah, good for fortunately, because
I mean, ultimately, it could end up in court. And
they clearly have obtained leases they need for this project.
they actually purchased the property.
Yeah. And over there, that could either be just one landowner, or it could be two or three, but there's all kinds of acre lots over there.
I think there was one landowner, he ran a off-road vehicle amusement.
It's interesting.
But yeah, that was a lot of time I spent on figuring out the models and
Okay, what else do we have for special projects?
that's it, I think.
Question that I have, there was a conversation 6 months ago or so regarding the new owners of sewer, sand and gravel wanting to load it on rail cars. Any noise about that ever come back around?
No, he never came back. Okay. I should probably try to find the number.
They call sewer, sand and gravel start asking.
Sorry, what was the name?
Seward Sand and Gravel was the name of the company. that-
Seward Sand and Gravel.
They kept the company name.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Question also for us as a committee moving forward. I always try to get refocused on opportunities. Much of what we're involved in trying to build economic development is energy dependent intensive. Are we strategically positioned where we could begin to compete in a distribution center? I mean, I see them every place I go, across the interstates. I don't think our rail yard hookup really allows for transfer from rail to truck, but it's something that doesn't require a great deal of energy. It doesn't require a lot of sewer and water. People come to work and go home. And it's something compatible with what our assets are and what our risks are and what our available space is. For me, looking along Hemlock Road or someplace where easy access, low traffic to the interstate, is there something in our opportunity? But do we look at something, everything to this point is something that came to us. We're still working on, the investments, real estate we had when we started. Is there a place to position ourselves looking forward where we have a greater chance of having success in getting a project up and running? Just a question.
The one issue with distribution centers is they have a cookie cutter that they look at. They look at sites. And because we brought one up to,
On Route 5.
yeah,
Yes.
and they said that their requirement for their client, it was a site selection company, was they have to have natural gas. They will not do
These for distribution center.
Yes. And they said because they don't want to be able to have in a snowstorm not have heat in their building. And there's
Massive cubic footage inside those buildings. It's just one gigantic open high space.
Yeah.
I understand where they're coming from. Makes sense.
And we probably heat the slab, so it just kind of, they're worried about eating the bottom 8 feet, not eating the top 8 feet, which forced hot air would do. Unfortunately, the only place in the county with natural gas is Richfield. They're not much fun to play with. But also to get to the interstate, you got to run down Vickerman Hill, and that's for trucks. That's not really, you'll have to. All right, just a thought. How do we? Where is our opportunity?
Well, there's a massive distributions on Route 20.
Walmart, Sharon Springs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
and there's a gas line that goes through there too.
Right.
Anyway, just, how do we've got a niche, or I'm looking for my advantage in the marketplace. Do we have something we could line up with?
that is something we've discussed many times. The issue in this county, there's really only 2 places that have natural gas. Oneonta and Richfield.
Here, we really don't have any because there's no more.
Huge areas
snow
of
to
the
get
county
used.
that- I mean, where I live, I'm 300 yards, or maybe 400 yards from natural gas. But it ends there, and it's staying, the end is staying there. You know what I mean? Just the way it is.
Anyway,
Great.
if nothing else, the meeting we didn't have can be, get up and stop.
Thanks, Larry. See
Thank you,
Jim.
guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.